A very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to have you all in yet another session of the Tech Thursday series. Tech Thursdays is an initiative of CXO TV to gather expert opinions and best practices on CXO's pain areas and technology challenges. In fact, the topics we select for the Tech Thursday series correspond well with our upcoming industry events. Today's topic is in line with the upcoming CXO Data Intelligence and Automation Summit and Awards 2023, scheduled on Friday, February 24th, 2023 in Bengaluru, starting at 10 a.m. On behalf of the CXO TV team, I would like to invite you all to attend the on-ground summit in Bengaluru. We are also looking for industry thought leaders and DNA experts as speakers at the summit. Please let us know your interest as a speaker for the summit. Further, nominations are open for various categories under the prestigious CXO Data Intelligence and Automation Awards for data, analytics, AI, and automation leaders. Details are provided at the end of the video and in the caption below. I will not take much of your time and request the experts to take today's discussion ahead with their thought leadership.
So good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be meeting all of you. I think what I would like to do is, it's a very interesting topic, but before we get into the topic, I feel it is very important for all of us and also the audience to know us a little better, right? Some of us do definitely know each other, but others may not. So it's important that we understand the background, where we're coming from, what is our experience and background like. So maybe I'll start by asking each one of you just for a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes, to introduce yourselves, talk about the current assignment that you're into, and also then mention a little previous work history, qualifications, anything that you want to highlight. So should we start with Harnath? I think.
Sure, thanks. My name is Harnath. I'm actually working as CIO for KPMG in India. I manage India and global services as two different organizations, and I manage the tech for both the firms. In addition to my role of CIO, I also had the technology delivery capability for the firm, which is basically creating solutions and IP for the firm and for client-specific technology, which is taken to the market. And been with the firm for almost 7 years now, more than 7 years now. Prior to joining KPMG, I had spent around 15 years in the financial services, had very deep, I would say, financial services point of view, deep understanding of how insurance domain work. I think that has been my core forte in the past. So that's a quick brief about me.
Great. Mukund, will you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Nice to see all of you here in one screen. Mukund Shastri, I'm working in Comviva as the Group Vice President and the Chief Data Science Officer. And Comviva is a part of Tech Mahindra. It's a product company under Tech Mahindra. And the focus of Comviva is on telecom. And I'm contributing for creating different telecom-related data science solutions and analytic solutions for Comviva. So there is one product that has been rolled out recently by my unit, which is called Mobilityx AIX. So it is an AI platform for accelerating AI for CVM marketing area for telcos. So that's a narrowed focus product for how do we make AI pervasive and analytics pervasive for the telcos and especially in the marketing domain. So that's my current portfolio, and I've been contributing for around 20 plus products of Comviva in order to make them AI enabled and take to the next level of advanced analytics. One of the features in these products. Before Comviva, I have been working with Comviva for more than 6 years now. And before Comviva, I have been working with top telco operators like Ericsson, which is a network service provider, global network service provider, and Reliance with British Telecom and a few more UK-based telecom companies. So my portfolio has been 27 years on telecom analytics, which covers up from data warehouse, data lake, business intelligence, artificial intelligence, and big data. So those areas, creating solutions in this domain and solving the business problems to gain certain value in terms of revenue upliftment, in terms of cross-selling, upselling, and solving network problems, etc. Basically, that has been my portfolio.
Great. You must convey my regards to Mao. He used to be my my boss in Hughes Software Systems 20 years back, before it became Aricent. I was there till the company changed name to Aricent. So
Sure.
I was reporting into Mo for quite some time.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Okay, Prakash.
Hi everyone, I am Prakash Hegde, a mechanical engineer working for L&T, construction and mining machinery business. We are primarily a marketing and distribution company for commands, two or three different OEs selling and servicing machines across India. My background, I'm actually a mechanical engineer, started my career as a hardcore manufacturing man, means I was in shop floor. And somewhere down the line, I ended up in IT. My current portfolio is I'm a chief digital as well as information officer, heading IT, managing IT across India for sales and service. That is my thing. And other than IT, typically all digital things and analytics is being managed by now. And one of our main things we are trying to think is also a spare parts planning, basically forecasting, inventory optimization, and other things are being done. So that is a brief. Thank you.
Great. Vishesh.
I am Vishesh Paul, and I am the Chief Information and Digital Officer for Prestige Group. I joined them recently. I spent almost 17 years with Unilever before this, driving their enterprise and digital agenda across the world. Overall, I have been in the industry for 20 years, yeah, so that's about me.
Great. Good to meet all of you. I did about 24 years as a CIO or head of IT. Last 12 years was in Ernst & Young. I was the CIO for EVA India, Middle East and Africa. Prior to that, I was with Hughes Software Systems, which later on became Aricent. And before that, with HCL Infosystems as the CIO and Delhi Stock Exchange. If you know, Delhi Stock Exchange was setting up the online trading system in 95 and I joined them. I was there for 2 years. I started my career in the Indian Navy. I took premature retirement as a commander after finishing 20 years in the Navy. So I have a total of 44 years of work experience, but I've been retired for the last 3 years. So that's my basically a BTech electronics from BHU and a MTech computer science from IIT Kanpur. Good. So let's start with the discussion, and very interesting topic. And I'm thinking of this. You're right. I mean, this topic is so relevant in these days. We talk of data and we talk of what value data can bring to all of us. And there's a huge, talk of data is the new oil. People are trying to monetize data. A lot of startups definitely are doing an excellent job in terms of, how they are thinking about very innovatively monetizing data. So, of course, there are a lot of related issues. But at the same time, when you think of large companies, large enterprises, they have a legacy technology background, right? We have technology infrastructure. We have a lot of applications, databases implemented at various points of time. A lot of times the formats are so different that they don't talk to each other. A lot of times, it does bring in a huge amount of issues when a CIO looks at it and says, I have got this data, I've got another very, very relevant connected data, and both of them together would give me a particular value to the business. And as a CIO, you can see it. As a business leader, you definitely see it. But then there are challenging in terms of how do you get that together. So before we jump into this, I want if you could, just briefly explain the structure of data in your organization, specifically in terms of what are the applications, and also in terms of whether they were implemented in different points of time, and therefore obviously they are on different platforms and not talking to each other, or do they already talk to each other, and do they have an integrated database on which they work? So let's start with Vishesh, the opposite side. So why don't we start with Vishesh, and you could explain to us briefly the current structure of applications and data in your organization.
Absolutely. So right now, like in any other legacy organization, it's across a full spectrum of capabilities, how data is structured in the organization. So on one side, there will be data in established applications like SAP, whether it is HANA or whether it's CRM and other places. And then on the because of the width of the business and the maturity of the businesses as well, there will be other sites also where people are still working on Excels and trying to make sense out of the data that they have. and then everything in between, right? So there are individual databases set up by teams, then there are centralized. We host our own, on-prem servers as well, where basically we provide that kind of capability where people can go ahead and establish their own databases at this point of time. So that's essentially how it exists today. So at some point of time, I hope I'll be able to give visibility about what we are going to do about it. But in a nutshell, this is where we are today.
Sorry, I was mute. So maybe, Vishesh, you can also explain a little bit about the business and the business structure of the company that you're working in, so that we all understand. And are there different applications for different business units?
Yeah, so Prestige is an end-to-end real estate player, and they are in the business of creating residential spaces or official spaces, leisure and hospitality, and they go down the value chain up to doing the interiors of the for a customer end user, whether it is office spaces or whether it is customers who are actually buying homes to live in, right? So they cover the whole value chain in between as well, in terms of manufacturing certain interior parts, and then providing them. There is a huge hospitality element to it as well. And then there is a property management services. So once the property is handed over, there's an option of managing the property as well. So it covers the whole value chain from a real estate perspective.
Okay. So can you also then, before we move to others, talk about the application, the internal applications, and how is the data structured? Can you share something in that?
Yeah. Sure. So we have a core backbone for the whole organization set, which is basically driven on SAP, right? And that is driven on S/4HANA Rise. And then CRM is a very integral part again on SAP for us, C4C. HR is on a success factor. So these form the core of our technology systems. And depending on individual, departments, for example, if there's a marketing department, they work in a siloed manner on marketing specific applications, which have been developed from scratch. And then there are some partnerships with some existing service providers as well. Then there will be, for example, there's a construction arm as well, which is largely working on using softwares like AutoCAD and other engineering softwares as well, project management softwares. There's a huge property management service which basically deals with the customers through an app. And then there's a backend to manage the workforce and other things as well. So these are the key application suites which exist in the organization today.
Oh, great. Really complex situation here.
Absolutely.
So, Mukund, would you like to share something about your organization's internal applications, the data structures,
Yes.
how they're stored, etc.?
So my organization is a product company. So I will talk about its end users, whatever product it creates for. So those are the telcos. And telco over a period of time are very much matured in terms of data, right? So they use the ETOM and framework for data management. At the same time, the SEED framework or integrated data management, basically. There are categories of telcos where, however, we see that there are problems of data. For example, the tier 1 telcos, like you see, the larger telcos and old timer telcos like British Telecom or Ericsson, these are globally multinational, and they have merged many small companies with them over the period of time. And we see that the companies, telcos, some telcos out of these are having 3,000 plus systems. They are doing the same thing, multiple systems for the same purpose: CRM, marketing, billing, and etc. So we see that the data has been siloed in this larger telco operator. Smaller the telco operator, they are pretty much good in terms of, because they started recently, they have followed the well-defined frameworks. They have systems in place, one system for one job or one business domain. So they are much more, that is tier 2 and tier 3. We have seen lesser data problems. As I can see, the structure of data, that is why it is siloed in many of the telcos, but they have taken a lot of efforts on how do we make this siloed get resolved, right, over the period of time. So they have put up some multiple solutions around it, like a data lake or a data warehouse. And there are something like, if I talk about Ericsson, they have logical data warehouses. They have a data warehouse only for finance, a data warehouse only for marketing, data warehouse only for product management. So they are integrating data, but at the back end, if you are integrating these data warehouses or creating the data integrated warehouses, at the back end, they are trying to merge around 100 plus systems from multiple countries. So they have evolved the telco operator. The data, siloed data, they have tried to manage it well over the period of time. But still, now the world is evolving. The structured data which was there originally from the internal enterprise now getting replaced or added with rather with the unstructured data which is coming from the digital media, whether it is social media, the web, the apps, etc. So that data they are now facing challenge of how do we put this data together along with the already structured and integrated data. So again, the point of silo, data silo has been a continuous journey. Newer data are coming in and older data are getting integrated in the telco domain, basically.
Great. Arnath, I know KPMG, having worked in EY, they themselves have a very complex, suite of applications to look after different lines of business. Of course, I don't know KPMG as much, but would you like to share the current status in KPMG with us?
Sure. Thanks, Rajiv. I think an interesting space to be in. I think consulting organizations are pretty, I would say, complex by nature and also different than majority of the industries. And to your point, I think see, it's an enterprise as well as it handles a lot of data of different clients, right? And again, it's not like any services company which is simply providing let's say software support or let's say software development, but it's actually providing core services like audit and taxation. And these are the core domains that as a business we support our clients. So to kind of give you a picture on how we are structured. So as an enterprise, we obviously have our own enterprise platform or enterprise ERP, which basically manages all the financials to people to the expenses to all that is required from a risk management point of view, the complete risk portfolio management, the offshoring work that we do for different other countries to workflow solutions for that. So it's kind of very, I would say, as an enterprise, it has its own set of applications, and for sales, CRM, the mid office, the back office, and the front office all have different applications. They're all integrated, while each application has its own specific, I would say, purpose. But all these applications are integrated, tightly integrated. That's the first part. Second part is the core businesses that we run. So we in audit, we have our own core audit platform, which is used for providing services to our clients. Which is one, complete the audit process and also provide value-added services to the clients. Second, we have multiple applications in taxation, which is used for primarily in the direct tax and indirect tax and transfer pricing. So these applications are also used for providing services to clients, and they are technically the cloud-based solutions or on-premise solutions hosting data of the clients, and not one, two, but let's say hundreds of clients. And the third thing is on the advisory side, where we go and support clients on managed services as well as provide advisory, which includes your forensics and bank verification. So it's a whole lot of services that we offer to our clients, and each service would have definitely an application associated with it. Every application would have a lot of data of the client, right? So effectively speaking, we would be having not only our own data, but also clients. And the complexity increases as you have to meet the regulatory requirements of each of the clients, right? Especially when it comes to data privacy, GDPR, or data security. All those aspects have to be addressed from a client specific, and even data sovereignty in some cases, right? So I think that's the way we have structured our enterprise from an applications point of view.
Great. I think I can recollect very similar situation in EY. Right. So Prakash, you're a mechanical engineer, as you said. So let's hear something about the applications and data in your organization.
See, we are primarily an SAP shop. Our core system is SAP ERP, S/4HANA. But then being a marketing company and sales and service, we also have got a CRM system, which again, we are actually half of them are on cloud, half of them are, some of them are on-premise. So of course, here application is on-premise, but then our CRM system is a cloud-based system, SAP CRM. And then we also have a field service management system, which for servicing, which is again an SAP. And we have a dealer management system. We are a distributor for Komatsu. And then we have dealers, our own dealers. So our dealers are managed through a homegrown dealer management system, which is our own homegrown system. And then we have got, as a marketing thing, we have got social media presence. We have got all sorts of data coming from everywhere. And then we also have our own website where leads generation and other information comes from. And also we do have EHS portal where all the safety related things are captured across India. There's every potential machine is my service area where my service engineer goes, and safety information is again captured there. Apart from that, all our machines, most of the machines are state-of-the-art telematics machines. This host of telematics data is captured by OE, but we get a lot of information from this portal. From OE portal, I need to get data. This is from Komatsu. We represent primarily three major OEs, that is Scania, Komatsu, and our own L&T manufacturing company. So this from different portals, I am supposed to get data so that I know the machine health, machine condition, machine health, machine location, and all the problems or anything which can happen on that machine. That information comes from this portal. So this way we actually manage multiple data from multiple sources, try to integrate them and see how do we look at my customer. End of the day, it's focus on customer. So how do I service my customer better? How do I retain my customer? How do I capture more different customers either from other things? This is how our data structure is being. We have a bit of a complex situation here.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yes, looks very complex. So I think with this round of understanding about the current situation, I would like to now turn this into a more interesting phase where I want you to think about your current applications and how they store data separately, and if you can recollect where the data from, let's say, 2 or 3 different applications needs to be extracted and inputted into another tool, maybe just an Excel tool or whatever, and also then see that if all this data is together, does this then make the whole process much faster and simpler? At the same time, I just want to say, there was a time when we all used to say that IT strategy follows the business strategy, and we support the business strategy, right? I know now, by the time I left, it was actually IT strategy was very much so much integrated with the business strategy that there was no such thing as a separate strategy for IT following the business strategy and so on. So, I mean, I used to find a lot of organizations where the CIO is actually the trigger for changing the huge business model, coming out with new, fresh business models, or even coming out with changing the basic structure of the organization in the way it is delivering services or products to the customer. So, I think from that point of view, maybe if you can come up with very specific cases where you felt that whether you've recently done it or you plan to do it very soon, that specifically these 2 applications, we're trying to integrate the data, and how does it impact the business itself, and how does it do? And was it your idea? Was it the idea of, let's say, the chief operating officer or the CEO who said, why don't we do this? And how did that come out? And if you can talk about it, maybe you continue, Prakash, with your talk at the moment, and very specifically, if you can tell us something about this.
Yes. See, everyone says the data is new means oil. Yes, as I say, or we say, yes, it is a crude oil actually. Unless it is refined, it's useless. That is what, see, all this decade we were collecting data. We got a huge amount of data in the ERP system, in my CRM captures, everything captures data. But how do I use it to see that I actually leveraged to better my business? That is where the whole thing comes into picture. And that is where we have been doing a lot of work on that, including we do analyze a lot of part sales, a lot of customer analysis, customer behavior, customer, how does he do the things. That based on that, for example, now based on my analysis on part sales, parts pricing pitching helps. And based on, we do analyze customer behavior, customer, how he actually does my negotiations, how is he, based on, if he's already my customer, I know exactly, my CRM captures all that data. So I too try to do a profiling, customer profiling, so that based on that, whenever a new requirement comes for that customer, typically that helps us in better pitching my pricing, better pitching my services. And with this, we are able to actually, now what we are trying to do is in some of the cases, in mining cases, we give this, for example, the customer buys the machine, means we don't lease as of at least today. But once he buys the machine, rest is taken care by us. We tell them that, yes, now you have bought the machine, you leave everything to us. Servicing, part supply, everything will take care. You just pay me as you use the machine. He uses the machine for per hour. The price is fixed per hour. Okay, you are using this machine for per hour. 1 hour you are used it, you pay me per hour. As you use the machine, that's how we are using the data to understand, pitch in our pricing. And that's the model which we are trying to use now. So that we give an SLA guarantee, means that guarantee is given. So 95% of the time I'll see that the machine is running. You pay me as you use the machine. These type of things have been done using the actual analysis of data. The IT systems have helped, digital systems have helped our company to do process on this, including my parts inventory optimization, in managing inventory. Means we are all means the actual data analysis has helped us to see that my what do you say, first pick rate or my parts supply thing is at 80+%, and I'm at top notch with benchmarking myself into industry, and so that the business is able to do more with less. That is the mantra.
Great, great. So, I mean, I'm going to throw it open now. Let's see, anybody else who wants to come up first, or would you like to share something?
So let me take this, Raji. So let me give you a picture in terms of how the data is actually getting structured across different applications. Again, maybe I can give you some examples on how we have actually taken the lead in terms of both servicing our clients and also getting the internal efficiencies, right? So and you understand typically in a consulting business, you have a lot of processes that you end up doing before you even onboard a client, right? Or when you deliver to a specific client. So there are risk processes, there are financial specific, let's say budgeting process and things like that, right? We actually ended up bringing in automation in all the areas, as we started looking at hyper automation as one of the key agenda. And again, the idea was we bring in efficiency in the way we run our processes. And when we brought in those workflows for the efficiency and automation, we also started analyzing the data or the workflow itself using process efficiency tools, right? So we said if a process is being run like this and it's been automated like this, what could be the best way of further optimizing the process, right? So we started analyzing the data and creating more, I would say, robust workflows, which are where you could have a particular process in a particular workflow, getting completed in a very short span of time. That's number one. Number two, having done this, these workflow solutions started bringing in later a lot of data points, right? Which was primarily not available earlier on how you're running your business, right? So starting from, let's say, how did you price a particular project, or how fast could you complete a particular risk process, right? How you could onboard a client. So you propose something to the client, but did you complete the job at the same price, or did you actually did you overburn than what you had actually thought of, right? In terms of, or did your margins go down? So some of those data insights started getting accumulated with these automations. So we created our own data lake, right, which is on cloud. All this information across different systems. So be it from a resource utilization to projects to risk management to project financials. All this information goes to, or even sales, right, to pipeline and things like that. All this information started going to the data lake, and we are obviously getting much more deeper insights into the way we are running the business. That's the first part of the story. Second part, which you are aware that the business that we run, be it audit or be it taxation, and again with GST coming in and the level of automation that we have brought in for our clients, there's a lot of data that you actually end up getting from the client because of the integration with their ERPs, and you also have to push this data to the regulator, right? Let's say the GSTN, right? So we started talking to them and see how we can provide them value-added services on top of the data which you're collecting from, right? So be it the invoice data, or let's say invoice data, or be it the sales register data or purchase data, whatever that we have from a taxation perspective. Are we being able to provide the right kind of value-added services to them on top of the compliances that we're already meeting, right? And most importantly, in cases like audit, whether we are able to do deeper insights into the data, right, which we are collecting from the clients, not only on sample, but you are practically downloading the complete GL from the client and actually giving them deeper insights into their audit data, right? So we've been able to leverage the data very extensively, not only for internal efficiencies, be it from a process automation point of view, but also from efficiency in terms of the way we are executing engagements with our clients.
So any specific security or confidentiality issues that you face? Because all of this data, client data, when you start analyzing it and then merging, probably comparing with other client data, there could be issues of that sort.
So we don't compare. So there's always a silo between a client to a client, right? So we don't compare the data of customers. And fortunately, we have very high sensitivity towards data protection, right? The amount of investment that we've been doing in terms of data security and be it from a policy perspective or certifications perspective, or bringing in technology to support, right? Let's say if you're deploying some solution on the cloud, you would have the guardrails on the cloud, right? Which will make sure that you're protected from a data perspective on the cloud. If it is on-premise, you would have all sort of controls being in place, right? You're practically monitored. Even your endpoints where majority of the work happens, those are all protected. They're monitored through a central zone. So it's a very, I would say, a very tightly controlled environment with possibly all all sorts of technologies available to get the right insights into the data, and not only insight, but also provide the right services to the clients, but making sure that you're not compromising on any of the security related aspects.
Right. I think that's very critical. I used to find that as a very, very high priority in terms of all the applications, etc., that we were working on.
Yeah, and very, very high investments, Rajiv. I think we don't shy from investing into cybersecurity. I think that's the most important.
Right. Next, Vishesh, would you like to come up with a specific example in your organization?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Real estate business has possibly the shortest sales cycle and the longest delivery cycle, right? A typical delivery lasts between 4 to 5 years, and the sales typically finish anywhere between 2 days to 30 days or 60 days, depending on the size of the project. That's true for Prestige. Now, one of the biggest challenges which lie for Prestige is that within the sales cycle, there's a process that we have to follow, because one is of the lead capture, which happens across multitude of capabilities. For example, offline is still big. The hoardings are still big from a real estate perspective. Digital is there, but within digital also there is a classification on the quality of leads, and then the new avenues, for example, metaverse and other places are also coming up, which feed into this lead generation cycle. Right. So our first effort has been to build a single framework around this whole lead management cycle, and ensure that we digitize as much of these streams as much as possible, and also create a sort of a tracking mechanism between these different channels to identify that are we getting interest from a customer from different streams, which helps us identify the high level of intent that a customer might be showing in a particular project or in a particular segment, or for example, 30 lakhs to 60 lakhs kind of segment. And that is what we have started feeding into our pre-sales or sales teams to ensure that we provide a better customer experience. That's one, and also we provide a higher efficiency to our for our sales teams as well, because then they can really narrow it down to work on a specific set of customers which show a very high intent based on the data that we have captured from various streams, and try to convert them. It increases the whole return on investment on the money that we have spent in digitizing this whole stream, and really focus on those people who are really interested in work, getting a Prestige property, right? So to put it simply.
Right, I can see the huge benefit to the business in what you're explaining. Yes, that's true. So, Mukund, what about you? Would you like to talk about Comviva quickly and anything?
Yeah, sure. So, Comviva, the products that Comviva has, which are spanning across marketing and finance area, the wallet management, as at the same time campaign management, those areas. So, these products need the centralized or single version customer data, right? So, products access the customer data either if the product is to be put on the customer premises, operator premises, rather, it is collected from their data lake and data warehouse, right? Which is assumed to be a single version of truth, and from there the data is taken. Having said that, Comviva's products are put in multiple geographies, multiple telcos. Some of them are tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Some of them are not mature. Some have data problems still. So from that perspective, the products which we make, in those products also we make the centralized customer view ourselves by taking the data from multiple sources from the customer if not available in the warehouse or data warehouse. And that single version of customer is prepared is nowadays called as customer persona. So which is a next generation 360-degree view, a centralized customer information covering up what the customer has done, what the customer is going to do, and at the same time on digital channel, what are the activities customer is doing, and can we have some intelligence around customer, for example, which kind of app savvy he is, whether he uses a media app more often or a shopping app or a food app. So those kind of informations are getting integrated in the customer persona or customer 360-degree view inside our products, which give a lot of value to the next action the products take, whether you have to roll out a campaign, whether you have to give some offer on a wallet or any other action. So from that perspective, the data integration happens inside our products also, and it believes to take it also from the centralized data lake or data warehouse of the telcos. Having said that, this is from the product perspective. From the telco perspective, as I said earlier, they are more evolved, and they already had centralized warehouses, data warehouses. Nowadays, they are putting that data onto data lake and taking the unstructured data also into the, so structured and unstructured. They are integrating that based upon certain keys, mobile number, And if mobile number is not available in the social data, for example, it is not available in Facebook or Twitter, it is not directly available because of the security reason, then the pattern matching kind of algorithms are run in order to find out the probability between this customer existing on social versus what I have in my system. How do we integrate that? So those logics are evolving, the fuzzy logic and pattern matching logic or machine learning in that, in order to integrate the data in the telco premise. That's it.
Great. So, continuing with you, Mukund, can you also talk about the challenges that you faced in terms of whether it is security, whether it is getting new applications in, the cost of doing it, or even getting a buy-in from the business, or at the same time, getting these applications up and running once you integrate everything. So, anything, and then as a final, any other comments that you want from your side to make?
From security perspective, generally the customers are hesitant to give us the data because our products are different, and their data is in their data center. So first thing that happens is, okay, we ask for a mask data to the customer that don't give us customer ID, which is there as a business key in your data. Give us a surrogate key kind of stuff, which can identify a customer uniquely, but we don't know who is that customer. At the same time, hesitancy is also there in terms of sharing the data around addresses and those sensitive information, which we more, because the solutions are analytic solution, we need to have the aggregated view around customers. So we don't really need the exact details around address of the customer, etc. Up to a city level, up to a location level, latitude, longitude level is sufficient enough for us. So that we take. And anyway, when the output comes in, it is an aggregated. So from sensitivity perspective, it is covered. It doesn't go at the detail each customer personal level information not available with us. So in summary, yes, masking is one of the thing that we use. We face a lot of resistance from the customer when we say we will put our product on the cloud, right? So from that perspective, so convincing from the cloud perspective is one of the key challenge, and there we have to take our partners AWS and Microsoft along with us, and also design the solution so that our direct VPN access, a secured access is provided to the data center of the customer. And when customer is not happy or not comfortable with the cloud, we set up our solution inside their data center so that their data doesn't come out of their boundaries, basically. So those kind of security related issues that we face, challenges that we face, and that is something we try to solve by the way I quoted.
Great. Vishesh, would you like to talk about the challenges and any concluding comments from your side? Anything not that I've covered in questions? I mean, you're open to add whatever you feel is relevant.
Now, so especially from a security perspective, we deal with a lot of sensitive information from a customer's perspective because because of its legal and nature, right? So our policy is very specific around this, is to focus on capturing the customer data, which can be with the acceptance of customer, whether it's the browsing data or the interest that they show or the click views and other things, and combine it with their persona data to create a customer profile, which helps us service them better. And once we are closer to converting them into customers, then only is that where we capture the sensitive data, whether it's their Aadhaar number or their PAN card and other sensitive information, and store it in a manner which is compliant with the laws of the land. So that has been our approach about customers' data security and other things.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
No, not at this point in time.
Okay. Coming to Prakash, any concluding remarks and challenges?
As everyone said, cybersecurity is one of the thing which is on top of the mind everywhere. In fact, we are also very, very finicky or this one when it comes to our data, because it's a customer data and pricing data, everything is there. So we are very, when it comes to cybersecurity, we have got a clear-cut policy and clear-cut, this has been laid out, including the endpoints are monitored. Forget about servers and other things are done in a very due diligence, including endpoints, and everything else is monitored, controlled, everything. So that way we are customer, this is made. And when we are talking about different data, managing different data from different systems is a challenge which we are trying to see how we can, because when it comes to customer 360-degree view, or we have to see everything, then what happens is I have to integrate different systems, including social security and my dealer management system, CRM. Even we tell SAP a single system, but even within SAP, integrating sometimes becomes a challenge, which we try to do it. And that's how we have been managing so far. And yes, the challenges are there, it's being managed.
Great, great. Arnav, finally, any concluding remarks?
So I think, Rajiv, a couple of things, right? One, you can continue to add applications in the application portfolio, but unless you have a clear enterprise architecture that kind of governs the way you are bringing in applications, both from a technology as well as security standards, I think it can be a problem. Second, you need to address the problem of the, let's say, requirements of the business, right? While, and again, to your earlier point, technology has to be embedded into the business rather than getting added at the end. So I think it has to go along with the business. Make sure that you are able to create your business processes or automate your business processes with technology as an inbuilt fabric, right? That's more important. You will actually end up having a lot of data and in silos, and with the hybrid work environment to hybrid cloud environments to completely cloud native application that you're building, you will have data across different silos. And it's important to have a clear strategy from a data itself, right? You need to have a data governance strategy itself for every organization. That's a must, because at the end of the day, the data when it comes in, you need to make sense of what it is. One. Second is you need to protect it. And third, also, you also need to retire it. Retire it means when you don't require it, you don't require it. You don't need to really carry it for years and years, right? So one, identifying the data which is relevant for you. And again, you may want to invest depending on how old your organization is. You need to get into data discovery platforms to make sure that you are having only the relevant data that they have with you. And also from a usability of data perspective, you need to certainly look at solutions like analytics or data lake or whatever, which is basically from a decision making point of view. But most importantly, data needs to be managed across all these silos that we are creating. So we don't realize it, but we actually end up creating so many silos as we continue to add applications and different technologies in our data center in the cloud. So that's the point that I want to make.
Yeah, great. So in conclusion, I think very interesting discussion. Good to know about the various legacy issues that we have, or data structures and databases that we have in different applications, and how you're trying to integrate them. I see a lot of value in terms of having a consolidated all the data together, but there are challenges. I agree, especially in terms of how do you manage that data. A lot of times there are some regulatory concerns. I know between audit and consulting itself, we used to have so many challenges on how to manage even a simple thing like email. So I know every business has its own unique requirements, business challenges, and specific requirements which the IT structures, the IT applications have to meet. So good to see this, and I'm also very happy that nobody mentioned the COVID pandemic as a challenge. I think we've all, outlived that, and I think hats off to the people, because I retired just before the COVID pandemic started, so I didn't face those challenges. You all have done an excellent job. Congratulations. Sorry, you were saying something, Anand?
No, I think we are past that, right? I think COVID certainly we are in the new normal. New normal itself is also normal now. So I think the whole idea of hybrid work environment and the way it brings the newer challenges in terms of collaboration and managing data, especially cybersecurity, right? Yeah, newer environment. I think these are newer dimensions that we need to deal with.
Yeah, and I think the CIOs of India have really done an excellent job. I've been seeing from outside, but it's really hats off to all of you. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Good talking to all of you.
Wow, that was an interesting discussion on a very timely topic. Hope you all liked the session and have gotten many takeaways.